Buenas, pues voy a continuar con la historia de Disco Elysium. Todavía no sé si voy a poder dormir la primera noche. Tengo que conseguir más dinero, creo, no lo sé. Es que estoy un poco perdido en ese sentido.
We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserable. We should take care of that then. Let's talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping in the...
Though he finds this situation frustrating, he is doing his best to not make...
Can I help you? What thing? Yes, not the whole damn union, thank God. Just the nastiest and loudest faction. They come here...
He hates the Union, but grudgingly recognizes its power over him.
I don't. I'm simply providing a service, or already facilitating the offering of services to...
We should find out who this Lord faction is, occupying the booth. Lord, we don't. We'll have to wait. They'll show up sooner or later.
You glance at the clock on the wall behind the manager. Huh,
Good question.
They're probably getting drunk, or protesting something somewhere, or laying low after the, lynching.
whatever he may feel about you, he can't miss...
They probably fucking killed that guy or something.
I have a feeling we'll make their acquaintance sooner or later.
What?
By the way, you should come back to this thing.
Yes, have you got it? Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me?
I understand your predicament as the manager. However, I feel I must remind you that we are here to conduct an important investigation that also affects your business.
Forgive me for saying this, but your colleague seems more committed to drinking.
He shrinks back a bit under the lieutenant's severe gaze.
I mean no offense. It's really nothing personal. I just have to protect the interests of this. Good luck trying to use it. All the locks have an electronic component. They have to be unlocked down here with a master key before you'll get... Not until you bring me the money.
Okay. I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here.
I really didn't want to resort to this. The man...
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here. Another thing. Great, yes.
Yes?
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio,
I have something here we could sell. Look in the back. In the...
transport enclosure. Regular people just call it the cage. The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable.
I confiscated this for a little while back. We can take them. There are spinner hubcaps. Frivolous things you put on your wheels. When the wheels come to a stop, the caps keep...
A vanity he wouldn't mind. The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners.
A ver si sigue abierto la tienda de empeño, porque... Estas horas...
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything.
Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps.
Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant.
Yes, these are very, very good. Did you?
No one was defrauded or jumped.
Of course. I meant no offense.
Thank you. Here's the 130 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it.
The windfall is a small.
Anything else you're thinking of selling? Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps.
Vale, pues parece que ya puedo pagar el hotel.
Can I help you? Yes. Have you got it? Well. Great. Thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered.
He's not sorry about his behavior for your sake. Now that you have money,
The electronic lock to your room has been disabled till 9 p.m. tomorrow. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow. 20 real per night.
I'll take a room here too.
Of course. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you? Absolutely.
absolutely in the question. First, we've.
Vale, ¿qué debería subir? Esto es lógica, no puedo subir más, ¿no? Vaya. Voy a probar con la extracción, que creo que más adelante sirve.
This is the door to the room you read.
Just a moment. We should talk about our progress on the...
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then,
Now then, we should talk about the investigation. But I also feel you're a bit hazy on the RCM. Our role here, our rights, our jurisdiction, basically. Well, we inspected the victim's body, so that's good. Our inspection could have been more thorough, as it always can. Then you shot him in the chest, which wasn't very good, and we still have to get him down from the tree. Being sober tends to help with precision. We conducted an interview with him. He wasn't particularly forthcoming with useful information. Claire also helped him, how should I say? Remember your name? That's it. Above all, today was exhausting. What's with all the running?
I have a really good feeling that why you're running so fast. Just you wait until you get up to me.
Alright, and forgive me, this has been bothering me since this morning. How have you managed to run around all day? Well, there seems to be a shoe that is a match to the one we're wearing further down. Perhaps you can connect it to the
He's right. There it is, green and shiny under the glove.
Imagine how much faster you could run wearing a cool painted yellow shoe on each foot. I have a cigarette every night when I go to my house.
Oh man, he looks so devastated.
I apologize. I only put one as well. I have exactly one cigarette every night. I mean, this? Please listen. It's unnecessary trouble for you.
Keeping the habit within the parameters.
It's been a long and that quite limited, actually. The power officers of the national citizens will reshape the things most frequently. The RCM's primary role is to ensure
Voy a bajar un poco la
we
música
are not really
porque
supposed to play any part in the economic structure of Elysium. Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have... We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve the station closely. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up.
When power calls you, you come. But power itself is a fragile trick of perception.
We are permitted to use whatever force we deem necessary, even lethal. Yes, the last time was 4 years ago.
He says it matter-of-factly and moves on.
You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly. That's an improbability. Perhaps even impossible.
Of course you've killed people. It's somewhere down there.
Precinct 41 is known for a higher than average rate of police violence.
He's not judging you. He's respectfully...
We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Cuarta and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and the coalition government and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Revachol or the coalition government founded the RCM. Be sentimental if you like. Either way, the moral intern leases us the right to keep the peace in this city, and they will take it away if we misuse it. The Moralist International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed. They're a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organizations in the world. What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats. Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge what they want you to think of them from that.
Something ominous. Something even a little
A historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me.
For you, she's...
The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And it doesn't look like that's about to happen.
It is more than that. There's some kind of affection in him.
Yes, I did, when I was younger. In my 20s, I considered myself a moralist. A blue forget-me-not, a piece of the sky. They're not all that bad. But the years have changed that. Do you? We are in what is called the twilight of international law. The laws we claim to enforce come from the MI. Without them, we are simple. Sadly, it is what we already are to the people of Martinez. Most of them, at least, especially the Union. Vigilantes. I expect our job here.
The lights of the orphan district, the dying lights of the city shimmer below. This soldier.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different inland, in Jamrock and the GRI. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. This place has fallen between the cracks, the jurisdictions of our two precincts. We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works, our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate.
Night. Captain Bartholomew Price steps into the yard. A piebald horse waits by the motor carriage, chewing oats out of an oat bed. Rows of houses on either side, hunching over the sidewalks. And Precinct 41, with its dome roof growing distant. Around him, the streets are silent. A kid on the corner waves at the captain as he takes the turn on Petition and Main. The horse neighs. The captain nods. Thanks, kid, he thinks. He's grateful.
Me too. But I wouldn't... Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, adorned with the expression. The chain cutters slip out of your hands as you attempt to twist the faucet into place. Well, you know one thing for sure. You've probably never been a plumber. The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets feel at once coarse and clammy against your skin. The bed sags beneath your weight as you stretch out, and then sleep doesn't come. And then sleep doesn't come. Obviously, you're in bed with your eyes closed. Maybe it's the bed's fault. It's a little better. Colors, scenes, and half-formed phrases still litter your breathing steadies. A great silence washes over you until your eyelids twitch in your sleep.
Do you remember the scent of your childhood? What it says on the can, Harry. Answer the question. Do you remember your wife's hand on your face? You know who I am. I'm the bad day. The one where you ask her, and then later reality will turn into a grotesque nightmare. This will be the last thing you did to her. Tell me. That's right, funky baby. And you just stood there. Tell me. Where are your friends? Human beings have friends, Harry boy. Where they were only cramping your descent into the abyss. Now they're gone. You failed Elysium. Everything. The Pale and the Isolas on the surface. The outer magnetosphere. Burning, furious truth. 8,000 years of written history. You really dropped the ball, Harry. No, Harry. You were just talking to yourself. That's all you ever do. You'll be back in those cold snakeskins in no time. Stinky Bob. You're not coming back from shit. You're trying to what? I can't hear you. This is just a word dream now. Jumbled up garbage. The pictures are gone. The bed rises to meet you. A thin, sleep-like state.
So something is wrong. Sleep shouldn't be this bad, this dry, this unnourishing. There's something wrong with your thoughts. Some kind of new type of hangover. Oh yes, party boy, and it's worse than the one before. Just think of the shit you saw. Here it comes too. So soon already. The silent alarm goes off in your head like clockwork. Time to go to work in the shit factory.
Good going, buddy. Oh, just a dream. You mean, why are you so tired? Too tired and down to even think? It is worrying, isn't it? You can't be a detective like this. Detectives need to be able to think. It's just that your heart has finally pumped all the speed out of your system, Buster. Don't do that. Stay strong. The hangover will wear off. Speed is a potent central nervous system stimulant. You got up from this floor because of a holy vow you made 16 years ago. With me. Don't be silly. There was no vow. You were high on speed. That was the only reason you got up. You can't detect without it. It's that simple. course, Martinez is speed-centric. You and Speed will be happy again. You will make... The front of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late because white antlers are one of the symbols of communism. They represent a society in a shameful way to treat a former king. Even one because Friesel was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. In short, the embodiment of everything the communards wished. To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. After rifling the magazine is divided into several sections. Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, du cristal à la fumée. This was his way of describing the way the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turned to smoke under communism. But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée, unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel. La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please you flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of this section includes a long, tedious critique. You also skip over an article. Face it, you really aren't interested in foreign. You flip back to the front. It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that Kunst und Kultur must mean arts and culture. As you leaf through this section, the main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective. This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A, made all the briefer by the subject's evident hostility. The actual article is surprisingly light on details, but after skimming a page or two, you gather that it has something to do with motor carriage racing. You think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season, maybe sprinkled with some nice anecdotes about Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects of Tip Top Torn. Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorships, and then there's the practically criminal emphasis on deadly motor crashes. Oddly enough, this article has two bylines, Nasdeb Encolada Bernal and Exilus Buca. Under capitalism, the article says, every pursuit has its price. Every pleasure, even one as elemental as the joy of racing others around a track, is reduced to an advertising opportunity. Thus, the so-called tournée becomes a competition, and that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would, at the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real races that you're really watching for. Sure, you think that, but subconsciously, it's the visions of brand names being engulfed in flames that you crave. This flimsy magazine that's because you haven't been reading critically. You flip back to the front of the magazine. Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declared. You skim the headlines. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Cape Side the eternal. Thus, they tend to experience their own oppression as though it were happening to somebody else. Is that true? Have you felt estranged from your own? You flip back to the front of the map. An intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso of the hanged man, from the right shoulder to the solar plexus. Each time the lines intersect, a small white star is formed. It still kind of looks like a map of the stars in the night sky. Gone. For you to discover. Someone close to the victim might know.
Vale, pues voy a continuar. No. No he descubierto muchas cosas y todavía sé sin saber si me puedo poner este zapato. En fin.
The door is closed. Still no answer. Still nothing. You should punch a fucking hole in it. The murmur in your...
Morning. Looks like we can get to work at once. The Union must have turned up. They look rowdy. We should talk to them. I mean ungovernable. Martinez isn't exactly enthusiastic about the RCM being here. They prefer to be policed by the Union. Men who drink beer for breakfast? There's talk of an armed wing of the Union called the Hardy Boys, who are responsible for I completely forgot it. Sorry, I had a rough night's sleep. It's them by the looks of it. One loose thread less to worry about, and one big problem to replace it. Everything points to the Dock Workers Union. The belt used for hanging him, tracks in the mud, the circle, which may, of course, all be wrong. That would just escalate tensions. In fact, even the death of 2 detectives might not warrant an all.
He's not exaggerating.
One more thing before we do. We don't have to talk to them immediately. We can walk right past them.
Good. A power move. But aren't you curious to know?
They're in no hurry to leave. They think they own the place. Anyway, I leave that choice to you.
Vale, voy a mirar el cadáver porque ayer aquel lo bajó, pero no sé si se me olvidó luego pasar.
The corpse lies on the ground among the remains of an absolutely...
Mr. Measurehead has done a good job. Nothing is too broken or compromised. The victim is... Yes. 1. Investigation of the scene. 2. Initial examination of the victim. 3. Field autopsy. 4. Transport...
The cop's gonna cut his shit up!
No, you and I are detectives. The honorary rank of detective signifies our ability to handle the entire incident chain. From autopsy to cleanup to social work, everything. You are. It's either this, or we complete the initial interviews. We already met Evrard. that only leaves the Wild Pines representative.
The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
Shoot, Looney Rooney. Come back later, Copo.
Come on, officer. You know what a field autopsy is. Unfortunately, no. They are better than nothing. Tell you what, I performed the anatomic... That's right.
You knew it because you inspected your... The dead man stares in silence as you crack open the ledger. The bright red paper is covered in boxes and lists. Describe above those, an 11-field info form needs filling out first.
That's you.
The corpse is indifferent to your scribblings. Just
KK57. Next. NA. Next. NA. Roughly 50.
the corpse looks ageless, like meat on a teeming with opportunistic microorganisms letting out.
Mondial.
The pudgy mess of curdled meat looks neither
Fucky, fucky!
Male.
Pigs can have sex!
nor does he look male with his pregnant.
We're still going with March 4th. 51. What else? 9. Body identified by is non-applicable.
KK 57 0503.
None. At least not after the
A strange word. Treatment.
interfering with the body's position or wounds post-mortem.
How did you not know that? Aren't you a cop? Don't overdo it. It's okay to be unsure.
They'd have to have incapacitated and carried him over. This man was more than a match for untrained dog walkers. We should start the post-mortem.
The corpse cannot feel Kim's hand on his chest. It no longer.
Clothes. The deceased wears armored boots and white briefs. The make of the briefs is Babrodine, I think. Let's see.
See, it's happening.
Babrodine, yes. Inexpensive. Size.
The disappointment is palpable. The red-haired thing.
The boots are ceramic. Vitreous enamel. They are fused to his skin from blood flowing downward post-mortem.
Patience. After the autopsy, before the body.
Tattoos. The upper torso is covered in a single, continuous tattoo, resembling a map of the night sky. It reaches from the right shoulder to the heart. The ink is blue and white. The assistant has a color photograph of the markings, to be added to the case files as document A1. The deceased has a cargo lashing belt around his neck, tied with a hangman's knot. Color well-nourished, athletically built, measuring 1.8. Body hair is light brown. Distribution is consistent with age. The deceased had male pattern baldness. Hair is combed back, short. Lividity is consistent with hanging. The head is congested. Contusions are present on the head.
Fucking low velocity. You think Kuno doesn't know what you're talking about? Talking shit about Kuno's velocity.
In addition, there are bite marks on the face, scalp, and chest, consistent with ligature mark. The steel wiring. There's too much of it. We need to remove the belt so we can get to the ligature mark.
You got just the right tool for that. The chain cutters.
Always good to think ahead. Now, we need to cut the belt to see the ligature mark below. Carefully.
See, my...
No, he ain't. Your pig's a boring fuck.
You jam the cutters right under the knot. That seems like a smart idea. Yeah, somewhere there. Already they're buried deep. The lieutenant looks by. A really, really bad.
Yeah, fuck him.
Told you my pig was...
I should have a go first. I think I have a strategy.
He sinks the cutters into the knot, preparing to. Yes, that's much better form than you had. Snap. The knot is slashed. Another cut, and the belt falls.
Here. The rope rises to a point, leaving a gap in the ligature mark. The suspension point is in the back of the neck, on the nape.
As it ought to. This is where its grip on...
Hemorrhaging is observed on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. The mark is well pronounced, consistent with a drop from 1 or 1.5 meters. Chest is intact, normal contour.
No!
I fucking
This is clearly what they've been waiting for, ever since the auto...
Genitalia is male and unremarkable. No evidence of injury. Ah yes, your hunch before. We can have a semen analysis requested from processing, if that's what you meant. Just right.
The corpse with his pants down does... The dead man's penis is average-sized, congested from the downward collection of blood. The testicles are uneven. You should touch it.
Back is symmetrical and intact. Upper and lower extremities are intact, but asymmetrical.
Bullets have bitten little pieces out of him. It must have been excruciating. Especially...
In addition, I see smaller, residual scars, too numerous to count, covering about 30% of... We have a real... Last item. Hands. Hands are clean. No sign of a recent struggle. Ooh. That's all for the external. Well done. What next? Central nervous system. I have nothing. Do you have any?
You don't even...
Musculoskeletal. Purge fluid is coming from the mouth. Not injury.
With his eyes almost closed, the lieutenant...
Yeah, jack that.
The hyoid bone is fractured. The rest of the musculoskeletal system is intact. Respiratory system. Oral cavity shows no lesions. The victim has received dental implants, possibly after a combat wound.
From here, it looks as though the clown-faced man is screaming. No scream, no sigh of relief rises from the darkness inside. It's humid there. Sickly sweet air, unlike anything living. No, you don't. You can keep it in. You can keep anything in.
Hepatobiliary, NA. Same for toxicology and serology, NA. Cardiovascular. The body exhibits heavy lividity. Blood has gathered in the gastrointestinal. Digested semi-solid food in stomach. Voila. What's next on the list? Let's see. We have bite marks, contusions on the head and chest, and a ligature mark encircling the neck. Head, chest, and scalp bite mark injuries. Predation by bird. And your opinion, officer? Agreed. Next injury? So, the scalp bleeds from a post-mortem head injury, a stone. The injury does not have the rim of an early inflammatory response. The perpetrator
At maximum velocity.
has confessed to causing it at maximum...
Coagulated blood sticks to his scalp and chest.
Right. Next. A dark red abraded ligature mark encircling the neck. I see hemorrhaging on the skin, above it.
Below the note, two... He is deep in thought, eyes fixed.
Why do you say that? Okay. Why don't you think it was fatal? I'm not usually one to go for these hunches, but I think I agree. I thought we had our cause of death here, officer. Now let's wrap this up. I pronounce this field autopsy over. It was an irregular field autopsy. We did not establish cause of death, which is supposed to be the goal of it. We requested a test to be run on the genitals. That was the règle. The results should... We were thorough with the list of injuries too. We described them all in detail. What is there to say? Given the...
Oh yeah, well done, Master Detective.
Now, you see, that worries me. You will die if you drink. You know that, don't you?
Please get yourself together, the Lieutenant.
I need a copy of that autopsy form. Then I will drive him to Faubourg for processing.
He's thinking, did I miss something?
I thought we decided to leave it to processing. Let's not turn this into some kind of circus.
Vamos.
You run your hands over the victim's cold body, his limbs, his torso with his fingernails have turned dark. They're chipped.
Do you think we missed something?
You can't shake the feeling that there are more secrets concealed in the flesh before you.
Okay, well, we are in livor mortis here. He is disintegrating. We need to refrigerate the body if we want to conduct another examination. It would have to be industrial in size. Let's start by asking Gart at the Whirling in Rags. And
Fuck are you looking at, being old man?
only if all else fails. Hurry, this is one...
Soon, you'll be looking for clues in a pile of sludge and bones.
If you think so, officer, I need a little help for carrying him to the holding pen of my kinema. I'll take it from there.
There go those beautiful...
Continue working here. The locals, the case, or attend to your own business. I will meet you downstairs in the Whirling in Rags tomorrow morning, 7:30 sharp.
Hello, sir. Step right in. The story. I know, sir. Are you interested in a new and exciting book? It's a bookstore, sir. We sell books, postcards, and some board games. It's called Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold your horses, little girl. You're fooling nobody.
Sir, are you a... Hello again, sir. Okay, sir. I'll try to answer any questions you have. I hope they're about books. Crime fiction is about murders or burglaries or things like that, and the work of a policeman or a private detective who's trying to solve a crime and catch the criminals. Crime is what criminals do. And policemen... And it's kind of like a puzzle too. You can guess who the criminal is, or how the good guys are going to catch him. You don't look much like a policeman. Didn't mean to offend, sir. Sorry, sir. It's just that you don't look like Dick Mullen. Head? Yep.
No, it's your soul. No, your resilience.
That's a bit childish. Say what, sir? You don't have to be, sir. He's just a fictional character. Maybe you can show me some real police work, sir. Like in the books. Oh, Kings and... I think that's why people read them.
Seems like most people who read those books.
But it does make the famous people more famous. Okay, sir.
You fail to deduce anything substantial. She waits intently.
Come on, anyone would notice that.
Yes? Hello? Me? No one.
She doesn't really want to be if she's such a working class.
Not all the time. Right now I'm browsing books. Even a working class one. It is. I know you are. What with?
The woman before.
Voy a ir a hablar con la jefa de la dueña de Walpine, creo que la señora que estaba en el teléfono.
A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat.
Good morning, officer. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You must be from the RCM. Clayton, my maiden name. Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
What is implied here? That you're a drunk?
Of course you're not. It was only a joke. I'm glad to see you here. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will. Gladly. Why, yes I am. Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? I mean, we are on Le Caillou, are we not?
She nods attentively.
The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19 because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word "it" feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name. A breeze ripples through the sails and tugs at your hair. Below, the sleek, fish-like shape of the hull parts the water. Beneath that, a resounding darkness. You're reminded of something. Or someone.
It's a pleasure craft. A 19-pacer. My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hip, officer. I assure you, I'm a high...
The crowns of her teeth are also qualified pleasure craft operator.
Why wouldn't it be? Good. What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real.
A billion?
Past a certain point, numbers begin to seem imaginary, but they are quite real for the 72,000 employees who depend on Wild Pines for their paychecks. A conglomerate the size of Wild Pines is like a shark.
She nods.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade and Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. Good luck is only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own. I'm afraid the Emergencies Act was put in place by the same coalition government that leases the RCM the right to police East Revachol. But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labour Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the Union's demand. They're not. That's the problem. The Union stopped all negotiations a week ago. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Yes, Jean-Luc Measurehead. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress. I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the Union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the Union in prior negotiations. The Union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, there are leaflets everywhere and banners. Every worker, a member of the board. Then you might also like their other slogan, Demand Democracy. Personally, I don't think it has the same pizzazzo as every worker, a member of the board. It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about what? Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild... I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags, a disastrous situation if there ever was one. The scabs. You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where, if they were organised by Wild Pines or its affiliates...
It's implied. She's open to discussing this.
Mr. Clare told him to... fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of staff. Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator, Mr. Clare.
Sounds like usual aggression.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say, of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin. Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like him. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say? Why do you think so? Well, I suppose that's one way to look at it. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous four... Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but the point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around Clare's. Watch out when you're dealing with him, of course. How else can I help? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your name and badge number. What happened to it today?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of it.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? I can't hear you, darling. Speak up, please. Oh, dear. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine. However, this isn't about my feelings. There's also protocol to consider. I'm afraid I can't say any more until I've seen that badge.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. She's a negotiator. Just float a favorite.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to...
You're in. But expect...
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade.
They're profiting from this trip.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right, or you can recover your badge. Though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause. That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Better not tie the forestay to the backstay on this.
She wants to answer the question.
Of course, Detective.
Vale, voy a hacer esta misión en la habitación.
I was just messing with you. No one's ever seen a cop scab. Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, let us cop. Speaking of, what brings the RCN here? To the wild north? Come to see the strike? A key, huh? What door is this key? Oh, say no more. I got you. I got that key right here. And let me tell you, it's mighty good of you to help us out during the strike. Working class solidarity, as they say. I knew this man was a cop. And it's a good thing you're doing. What you're looking for is a basement door behind the greenhouse. That's behind the whirling and rags. That's all I know. Our organization is what you call compartmentalized. Means we keep out of each other's business. The janitor gave it to me. Nice fella. We talked about life, none of this mess with him. This jiving and juggling. I'm more of a philosophical dude.
He is
the mercenary, eh? Who could have killed him? That's indeed the question. Even prove such a thing.
The man whispers a jaunty tune. The coastal breeze ruffles his hair.
We're negotiating our share. Aye. This stuff, they already covered. Never grateful. Were we ever grateful, we'd have nothing. You fight for it.
The man whispers a jaunty tune. Hey, psst, psst. Yes, you. Word on the street is you're ready to... Yes, you're ready to start building communism again. You've built it before. They've built it before. Hasn't really worked out yet. But neither has love. Should we just stop building love, too? This conversation isn't really about love. Try to keep up, okay? You keep saying things like, down with the bourgeoisie, eat the rich, sodomize the landowners, impale all people who have more than 25 real in their pockets. Literally murder all funky style, very funky. So tell me, do you have any questions before we fire up the big communism builder? Oh yeah, get the firing squads and the animal weapons ready.
Para desbloquear esto creo que necesito puntos de habilidad que debería, la verdad, haber aprovechado algo. El luto blanco que me da. Voy a olvidar el luto blanco, si se puede. Ah, pues no.
This must be it. The royal lion. Guillaume, you knock silently. The upholstery muffles the sound. The leather upholstery is worn. In fact, you try to be as silent as you can. Finally, the door unlocks. The sound of the key turning still echoes in the yard. Only curiosity could account for stepping over that threshold as you hold the... of mugs sits on the shelf. Each one depicts a human figure. A dark-skinned woman grinning a little ring. Though cheerful, the images on the ceramic make you vaguely uncomfortable. The images betray a lack of interest in human beings. The owner of these mugs doesn't like people of other ethnicities very much. This person is unhappy. Yes, your broken mug friend would feel very much at home here. The owner of this collection could be dumping his trash. An interesting little clue. Let's see where this goes. Perhaps you should break into apartments more often. Who knows? Could be. But this clothes in a trash lead doesn't... You could ask everyone. Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. You have no clue. It's just so many walls.
He fucked the tree up! Shoot that shit at Kuno, Pigonort! The fuck about it? Fuck are you talking about?
He says you're stupid, Kuno. They want to make you stupid again.
Oh, did Kuno make your shit? Kuno doesn't give a shit about the armor. That fucking had one thing majorly wrong with him. Do you remember how he looked? Fucking growth hormone shit. He's a giant. Kuno doesn't give a shit about that freak armor.
Oh, come on. He's just pretending that he doesn't care because he's too small for the armor.
Kuno tried to get the helmet on. It was too big. Kuno kicked that shit in the sea, rugby style. That shit means nothing to Kuno. Yeah, that shit means nothing to Kuno. You wanna fuck on someone about that armor? Go fuck the mustached union fuck. Yeah, cocking boot. You know that jolly union cow fucker? Came around talking about cows or some shit? Came around pretend. So yeah, he's the one you wanna talk to. He's fucking...
Yes, this troubadour has...
You're testing...
Get lost!
The fuck do you want with it? Good call, pig. Kuno doesn't...
the night watchman's booth. The name, nothing incriminating catches. It's a black and white photo of a young couple out in a street fair. All those empty wine bottles and cigarette butts on the ground. Someone, look at it. Of course it was you.
Yeah, we did, Bratan. And from the looks of it, we had a hell of a time. Hell of a time, Bratan. Oh, so advanced. Deep in the enemy.
Mr. Dubois, a pleasure as always. You don't have to sit down this time. I'm very glad to hear that, Harry. One question. You didn't actually happen to stumble in and see what's inside the apartment, did you?
There is no way to sway this man in any direction. He is unsuggestible and unswayable. Just tell the truth.
Just as I thought. Culturally antiquated bug collection. What a weasel. Pissing on Everart's range. Now let's get down to brass tacks. It's time for men like me and you to figure out who's killed who and why. Real police work is gonna start happening now. I promise you, Harry, this is gonna be good. By now, I'm sure you've figured out who the dead man was working for. The bad guys. Wild Pines. Sent to scare us. Another violent measure of the top hats against us flat cap. Harry, this strike is the culmination of many, many mistakes made by the Wild Pines group. They tried a security contractor. Can you imagine that? Workers standing in peaceful protest, united in the spirit of fellowship, and they send hired killers to mow us down with machines. I'm talking beasts. Hardened killers from proxy wars in Yesut, Semenine, Sadamoritsa. You name it, they've done it. Raping, killing, burning villages, killing little children for the Senorita Pineapple Company, Harry. Everything they did there, they brought over here. They want to turn Revachol into a third world slum. Honestly, no, Harry, the elephant is metaphorical and so is the village, but the mercs and their Now, I haven't personally witnessed the brutalities out there. I have the luxury of staying in my containers. About my fun container, it's a hoot, Harry. Who knows? Maybe you'll be in here the next time they move it. But enough about me and my container. The killers the company hired, I think one of them got downright suicidal. Getting drunk, violent, a little rapey. Even their own negotiator couldn't control him. That's your boy, the one who likes hanging out. Harry, what you need to realize is, we dock workers are not... We got grit, Harry. This whole neighborhood does. Push us hard enough and we push back. And when we do, we push to kill. There's a militant wing inside the Union. A group of people whose duties don't involve manual...
That sounds a bit like...
They're like you. Idealistic people who want to make sure that bad things don't happen.
Again, that sounds like organized.
One day Titus Hardy, leader of this peacekeeping faction, comes up to me and says, "Boss," he probably worded it differently, but that was the idea. Sure sounded to me like they killed him. I gave them 2 weeks paid leave and oh, I'm not at all worried about that. These are not the kind of men who get arrested. They're Martinez boys, tough and gritty. I'd like to see the man who takes them in. Besides, I sent...
If he's just boasting, then it sure doesn't feel like that to you. He's not worried.
How do I know? Let me tell you about these people. That's their MO. It's what they do. Last winter, some poor workers in Terminal E went on a little strike. The company sent in Sediment, a security contractor. The strike was over the workers' right to wear protective footwear, Harry. guys turn up and start beating people. Tell you what, Harry, I wouldn't be surprised if we got the same mercenary company after a little rebranding. And I'm sure you said it, Harry. Hell, one of those guys looks big enough to take down that proverbial elephant. Boys like that don't just happen to show up.
He's not scared of them. If anything, he likes them being here. Strange.
Racist mugs in the trash and in the apartment? You guys are just light years. I have so much confidence in the ability of your organization. I'm relieved you're doing this and leaving me to do what I do best. Helping people. With a oh, no, 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 no. I don't cross paths like that. All I want is for you to succeed in your investigation. I would never believe me, Harry. He's a nobody. Just your basement variety nobody. Can't imagine him being connected, but he does live nearby. Maybe it's a pedantic weasel. Fascists are known to be neat freaks. I feel like a real detective right now, Harry. Of course, Harry. I'm not a real police officer. You are.
That's all he's going to say on this subject.
Oh, Liz is a bright one. I paid for that law degree myself, thinking it'll probably turn her all fancy. But hell, Harry, oh, they are simply fine young men, all 7 of them. Exemplary union members. Always working to advance their... Old Theo used to run them, but things really kicked into gear when Titus took the reins and named the group after himself. Gotta love his initiative. Harry, they're almost all of them great guys, born leaders. Whatever happened, I'm sure work with them. Hell, interview them. But don't fight them. They really are just like you. Men who like... You know what, Harry? I got a feeling they're gonna show up in full force tomorrow. But of course, it's the least I can do for my good friend Harry.
When you meet this Titus, tell him...
Also, Harry, here's 5 real. I'm not giving you anything.
Needless to say, this is another move. Don't take it.
Oh, I wasn't offering it to you, just holding it out there. But I'm willing to share information. Was it a good talk? I'm not sure we made much headway here. I was hoping we'd bust the case wide open. Heck, I even wanted to tell you what I don't know what happened, Harry. I wanted you to feel like Mr. Martinez. And of course, I also wanted you to find your gun. But it's like I can't completely... Yes, Harry. It's like I can't fully trust you if you're not a man of the left. I want to, but I just can't.
A man of the left. So you have to be a social democrat. He's been hurt too much in the past by men who aren't social democrats.
You're saying it, but I don't believe you. You know how it is, company snitches, agent provocateurs everywhere. Once again, I require nothing unethical or illegal of you. You just need to get 2 little signatures on this piece of paper, and then mail it to my accountant in La Delta. I'm glad you asked, Harry. The Union is going to build a modern youth centre in Martinez. It will be right... There's a nameless little street on the coast with some old houses around it. Most people have already signed. I just need 2 more signatures to get this... They are just going to have to deal with the construction noise for 6 months, and then they'll be living like kings. Right next to a fancy new youth centre, designed by the best architects from... You bring joy to my heart, Harry. Such a pleasure to be working with you. You need to get signatures from Isabel Sadie and Lillian Carter. The cul-de-sac is right past the pawn shop and across the canal. I hear... Once you have the signatures, mail this to 13022 La Rocca in La Delta. Then, I'll know you're a solid socialist. What? Harry, how could you say that to me? You know I appreciate a joke as much as any jolly fat guy, but You've hurt me, Harry. Me, a friend. But you know...
And gets over it in 2 seconds.
I trust you, like I trust all my friends. And I know you'll never talk to me about this again, but yes, your lost gun. My best men are on it. They're turning every stone. Your gun will be found, Harry. Let me assure you of that. It's just a matter of time and effort.
The only way to find it seems to be working with him. He might even be holding your gun hostage.
Yes, Thank you for the hot tip regarding your lost gun, Harry. Now please, let the professionals do their job.
It did not come as a surprise to him. He might actually not be bullshitting.
Damn it, Harry. That's exactly what it means. Oh, that's very nice. I haven't gotten around to her yet. One thing I want to make very clear, Harry, is that this is not some kind of union versus corporate. We're all trying to do what's best for Martinez. Don't feel like you can't cooperate with her because you and I are such good friends and I helped you get...
Oh, that's so nice of him. Suspiciously nice.
I'm just a nice guy, Harry. I wouldn't be where I am now if I wasn't nice. Politics is all about emotions, and I want you to have positive emotions when you think of me.
Okay then. Positive emotions it is. You like positive.
What do you mean, Harry? Nothing. I let him go. He's an old man, Harry. I wanted him to spend more time with his family. God knows how long he's got left. Harry, I have little people in my organization. I would never call someone a midget. What is this? Honestly, I'm beginning to think you're a midget, Harry. I'm only kidding, Harry. You're not a midget. No one is. We're pals.
It's hard to say if he really lost it.
Vanished? Harry, the woman left her casserole in the oven and couldn't make it here in time for the voting. Oh, did I leave my casserole on? Better go home and check. Yes, yes. Low balling, of course. This isn't a casino, Harry. Real people.
His expression makes it clear.
If she actually wants to see me, she will find a way.
He doesn't want to see her. It's as simple as that.
Of course, Harry. Let me just assure you one more time. It's perfect. I have no interest in what she is doing. Tell her about all of it.
This is weird. Not nice weird, but okay.
See you soon, Dip.
Right, two. Hold up and stay.
You here to fuck with us? Beat the honest worker down. We're here to fight for a cause. Stripes usually have problems with people who have causes. Good. Fighting for a cause. Besides, we're not that different. It helps if people see us talking, cops and strikebreakers together. Shows authorities. Maybe you should ask men. We have family.
So do we, Scott.
We were promised work. We'd be in there, working, if the bastards hadn't shut the gates.
The physically impressive man tower has two.
Honest men and women with rights to work, to be useful, not toys for corporate interests. We came here to help the harbor run smoothly in time. When a bunch of ungrateful, lazy cockroaches can't get their act together, decide beats me. They mumble nonsense about boardrooms and workers' rights.
When the man moves around, we perceive some serious acts underneath his terrifying shirt. This man is in shape.
I work hard, and I would work even harder if the fuckers would let us.
So, how'd you like our harbor? It's but a rest area on the path leading across open plains. Right. You talk to the boss, eye to eye, like men of the plane. If you have any more questions, I'm set to talk. The little boy had the good on his promise to get me into trouble, to sick the pigs on. I was asked to look into that armor situation. Official Union probe, you know. Track it down, see who took it. At first I thought, why not? Maybe the pieces can fit the strike. So I went to this boy. He said he'd make me his prison bitch. He's got eyes everywhere. Serves me right for doing menial footwork. I dropped that probe right then and there, and it still got me into trouble. I learned that people don't want to talk to a drunk union man about some armor. Not much. Technical stuff mostly. That was the interesting part. I did some research into this armadura. Let's say I have friends at the library. I didn't get into the material science, just how it comes in parts. 4 in total. The helmet was the first to go. The kid says he tore it off and kicked it into the sea. I believe him. So, as I count, there are 2 parts missing. The gauntlets and the cuirass. This is where I left off. Too much hassle. More like a job for some Elysium. I guess you won't be collecting them all then. That's less work for you at least. Oh, they're just gone. They don't exist anymore, if they ever did at all. Forget about them. I did. Smart choice. It's only that one spot you need armor too. The one the bullet hits. Good luck if you go for those boots though. You'd have an easier time wresting the spurs off a boyadero than getting them off. It's a minor nuisance. It's all good.
He thinks, not yet. Better to get this business out of the way.
No problem. If you see that kid...
He is sincerely grateful he is not tracking down pieces of armor right now.
Yeah, the janitor who gave me the key to his apartment said the guy's a bit of an asshole. Yeah, it would be really bad if we got into an argument about it. Waste of a good noon.
The lorry stuck in the traffic jam. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. Fumes of heavy fuel oil waft over you. The driver has adorned his space with a large metal pendant. The back end of the cabin has a... Not a good track record of mental health in that family. As you look up, you notice something about the statue. There are some odd indentations on the king's chest piece. What did he do? High above you, the king. Something with great kinetic energy seems to have impacted. Someone shot him in the heart. Interesting. It's the warmth of a winter night. Nothing. No.
Where am I? Who are you?
The smile on her face has disappeared.
Never mind. I remember now. I'm still stuck. The men have a small jaws and everything is made out of plastic. Way back in Methka, during the time of the revolution. The side walls and cafes are filled with young people. I was on my way to see a new Boyadero pictures until you came along. This is Gabriel Buenguerra.
A strikingly handsome man looks straight at you, his head crowned. This man's got a hold of.
He was the biggest star of his day. Girl, someone was. They are someone's memories, boy. What difference does it make if it's me or not? They're beautiful. That is all that matters. Beautiful and true. And they will win.
She seems to derive some bitter pleasure from...
I wasn't dreaming. I was there, Roman. Well, you. Why not, Harife?
There's something off about this woman.
Diamonds? Of course not. But whatever stupid things they put in the lorry, I imagine. I quit concerning myself with that a long time ago. Besides...
She says that as if something narcotic is the real reason.
Oh, it's so much more than a...
Yeah, it's definitely some kick.
Then it's contraband, Roman. What? Do you want to take an old woman in? Of course not. To truly understand the Boyadero, you need to listen to... It's an old ballad about a young girl who falls in love with a daring Boyadero. Of course not. So the Boyadero strangles his beloved and throws her body in the maggot. The most beautiful...
What if to truly love a Boyadero is to float life?
What do you mean? Because I'm one of the best caminers around. That's why. I route the Monazov's land, Udashnaya Zemlya, Western Plain.
A terrible cold comes over her, rattling her.
The Transcatlia Magistral. You for 1A. Magistradas do Miracle. All the good ones. The deep trenches, where the bluebirds fly. You go right ahead, Roman. Let me know, is that all you woke me up to say? Now what do you want with an old woman's boots, Sheriff? Please? I think you should let me get back to Gabriel Bueno.
She's wearing sturdy worker's boots, made of black leather.
Just before Gabriel, it was the coroner.
Moreover, the boots were size 37. tiny. There are too many discrepancies in all of them.
It was. Perhaps
As she says, can't.
the fate of a little girl. Yes, go.
Gander and a hunter and a gatherer from another planet. You sure are, my man. It's the jam, my man.
The air from the east is.
It's a traffic jam for the ages. Harbor gates up the street are shut tight. No explanation given. Workers on strike, scabs agitating. Meanwhile, we're all stuck here in long-haul limbo for days upon days upon. Feels like forever. Like I was born on this here roundabout and this was all I ever knew. Yeah, imagine. It's been a whole week already.
Behind the laugh.
So tell me, what do you need? Nope, don't smoke. Some of the other drivers do though. There's still a few around, waiting for the...
Hey, isn't he like smoke?
Okay, but this is my last one. And it's a bad...
Are you sure you don't already have lung cancer?
It's like, whatever's going on over at the docks. Workers got a blockade. Some pretty wild stuff I hear. Like a giant new power crane. And I've heard talk there's a company rep in town. They want to keep that money flowing in, my man. Ka-ching. Anything else? Yeah, this ain't really my area of us lorry drivers. Cam, your nurse. You still hang around here waiting for this mess to end. Most have scurried off somewhere. To get drunk or high. Or not my thing. Chasing transient pleasures is a drag these days. I prefer the examined life now. Thinking, reflecting, observing.
What's better than chasing transient pleasures?
Oh, high-grade narcotics, illegal firearms, stuff like that. Can't even get a few jokes past you, my man. I've got another haul of found cars. They usually get shipped to Grad in the Occident. Not unless they've illegalized sports equipment while I was on the road. This rockin' beauty. Sure is. Like a rash you can't get rid of. You interested in heavy-duty cargo machinery? Neat. For carrying large quantities of cargo a long distance. These found tracksuits need to find their way to the kid.
There it is again. A little touch of sadness beneath his cool.
We're pals and all, but I can't just freely hand out the merchandise.
The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm. Ease into it. Don't go too far. This seems like a personal matter.
You really are the law, aren't you?
Just like that, he slips out of your reach. It is possible the yelling didn't help.
Don't be a stranger.
You sit on the wind-worn wooden planks of the bench. Your feet ache.
Life? I'll be with you in a moment, officer. Let me just...
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything. Yes, fortunately, I still have it. 3:30 and it's yours. Here you go, officer. Anything else I can do for you today?
Just a moment. And there's
the closest.
It's fine.
The lady is distressed. Perhaps something more upbeat might cheer her.
Please don't trouble yourself about me.
A faint smile tells you she appreciates the effort, but at the moment her mind is on more.
The union office probably has a phone. The manager was vague about it. To let the young woman who's house sitting for us know that I was also hoping she'd heard from Morel. That's just it. This isn't like him at all. He always plans his expeditions so carefully.
A cold breeze hisses through death.
You have more important things to worry about. I hope you were able to pawn that. Oh, thank you, dear. I confess I am glad to see it again. Very honorable of you, officer. Just some field work, sweetie. Morel is a hop, but they should have returned by now. They would just go.
The water lock. That was broken.
Oh, sweetie. Gary's as loyal as they come. Oh my. What happened to the water lock? Well, whatever the cause, I'm thankful. Listen, sweetie, I hate to ask, but if your investigation happens to take you to...
This will surely lead to a cryptozoological mystery with that extremely rare insect.
And if you see him, let him know Lena is waiting. Oh, you're such a dear. Thank you, sweetie. Oh, yes. A It's really just a subfield of zoology, one specializing in animal species that are so searching for such species.
She's completely internalized her husband's struggles. They are her own. There's really no point in manipulating any.
Oh, I'd be delighted. That would be the giant of Coconur. The giant lives in the most arid mirage or psychogenous luminance. No one knows for sure. The towering luminosity of Coconur is a bad omen in local folklore. That's what makes it so peculiar. There are limits, you see, to how long...
Great. This is great shit. You need more.
Cryobacter catlensis. Yes, a unicellular bacterium that bacterial colony Mijanu found had remained alive while frozen in ice for longer than anyone could reliably. Mijanu disappeared shortly after injecting herself with the bacteria she had brought back to study, no doubt in hopes of prolonging her own life. Wow, yes, and everything. After Mijanu treated herself with the... We can assume that she has been living somewhere in the wilderness for decades. What an interesting question. The Col de Mama d'Aqua, or thin whisper of sound. And that's precisely what it seems to be. Self-replicating sound waves, invisible and intangible. It's very afraid of us, which makes it incredibly difficult to track. Plenty. It's the evidence. When playing back recordings they had made, the scientists soon...
She transforms, when speaking about these strange animals, into a confident woman.
They realized that they grew quite obsessed with these little birds. Even though they could sequester, time, just can. Those are but some of the Mama d'Aqua they followed individually. What about what? Of course, dear. Oh, dear. Well, his expression is...
It's always a challenge to describe a person you know better.
Oh, well, he's a bit shorter than you, but with a larger frame. One other thing. We'll be celebrating our 16th anniversary this autumn. By a dating agency, I'm ashamed to say. We hit it off and... well, here we are.
She's skipping over some important...
I hope I've been useful. Oh, sweetie, it's fascinating. But, well, it's,
Oh, yeah.
where other phasmids imitate sticks or leaves, this one's a hence it's named the Insulindian. Well, some teenagers making out in the reed saw one. They didn't know what it was, of course, but there was a brief article in a local
Muy turra esta
newspaper.
parte, ¿eh?
Interesting.
Muy turra.
Maybe the phasmid made.
I doubt it. Of course, most phasmid sightings turn out... Not at all. Why else would... Oh, I doubt it. No one gets into cryptozoology. Oh, dear. I'm afraid Morel can explain it all much better. I wish you could hear...
Bueno, eso es todo por hoy. Ya lo voy a dejar. Y volveré mañana. Hasta luego.